Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. As part of the upcoming patch 11.2.5, which should be arriving sometime soon, we will be getting some brand new content with some really fan-anticipated features such as Legion Remix, which, very similar to Mob Remix, is just an opportunity for players to re-experience the expansion of Legion as well as all of its content and rewards all over again. Essentially, it's just an opportunity for you to level some alts ahead of the Midnight expansion. It's also offers some sick power progression with the artifact weapon, very similar to how Legion worked with its artifact weapons back in the day. There's also a ton of rewards for you to collect, from existing items that you could technically unlock right now on live, or just wait until you could buy it with bronze during Legion Remix, but also you'll be getting a variety of exclusive Legion Remix only rewards that you'll be able to obtain from content and achievements only during this event. This also includes some previously obtainable events like during the pre-patch of Legion that have been removed way so long ago but are making a return for this event specifically. This past week, they actually extended the testing for Legion Remix, so I get to spend a little bit more time with the content and even get to collect some of the rewards that you'll be able to obtain during the event. So I kind of just wanted to do a video just highlighting all of the unique stuff that you'll be able to obtain during Legion Remix, specifically focusing on some brand new rewards, but also rewards from previous expansions that will be made exclusive only during Legion Remix. As always, if you guys want to see more regular updates for War Within expansion and feature content updates such as Legion Remix or potentially Midnight Alpha, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So first of all, I want to go over the returning items which were previously available either during pre-patch of Legion or during the expansion of Legion that were removed as a reward but are making a return for Remix specifically. So if you're looking to obtain these items, you will need to play during Remix. A majority of these items will be just locked away behind bronze, which is a currency of Legion Remix, which you can collect from literally everything you do. Any open world content, questing, dungeons, raids, literally anything you like to do, everything awards you with bronze. Even just flying around with skywriting can earn you bronze as you're flying through demons and you're collecting bronze orbs up in the air. Literally everything can get you bronze, and a lot of these items are going to be pretty easy to access as long as you have a decent supply of bronze that you can collect fairly regularly. One of those mounts being Violet Spellwing, which was a controversial move. This is an AOTC ahead of the curve achievement, which you usually get for defeating like the final boss of the final raid of an expansion. Normally, Blizzard is like very specific on AOTC mounts being like this challenge reward, quote unquote, that isn't making a return. Kind of like how they are not returning the, not bringing back the Mage Tower weapon skins for the artifact weapons, but they are bringing back the Spellwing. It is a gorgeous mount. A lot of players really wanted that one back in the game, and that's what they're doing, is delivering on the ones by the community. I wonder if they'll ever change their minds on Mage Tower, which we can't test right now on Legion Remix, so we don't really know what the rewards for that are going to be like just yet. But for the time being, yeah, this is definitely going to be one of the most sought after mounts that is one of those returning editions of Legion Remix. Another set of returning awards can be gotten from Lara Treebender, and she got a couple of pre-patch armor sets which were unique and available only during the pre-patch for Legion, which were the Warlords of General Crafter's gear, but reshaped and recolored to Legion color schemes. So you have the plate armor set, we have the mail set with the fell shard crystals, we have the leather set with also some fell crystals adorning the shoulders, the gloves, and the belt, as well as the cloth set. So all of them have this Legion green look about them, and these armor sets were available only during the pre-patch, removed out of the game after a while, but are now available for you to re-earn again in Legion Remix. During the pre-patch event, we also got access to a bunch of items such as toys, which you can collect from certain demons that would invade Azeroth all throughout various different areas, and one of the toys you can collect from one of the pre-patch event was a pocket fell spreader. The reason why this toy is so well remembered from Legion is because you see how much the fell is spreading? The actual spreading effect is quite massive. The amount of space this toy takes up with all this green puddles on the floor is actually quite notable. And when you have a bunch of these fell spreaders together, it could create a fairly large, long-lasting effect that did shorten the effect. As you can see, it used to last for a very long time. Because of its obnoxiousness is why so many players found this toy memorable from way back in the day. Another set of gear that's going to be making a return for Legion Remix is a very specific recolor of the Valajar pieces from the Trials of Valor, the chosen version of these armor sets. Very similar to the pre-patch, there's the male version for these sets, there's the cloth, leather, as well as a plate variation, and the recolor for like the chosen achievement was unique, as you had to complete an achievement of the chosen where you had to complete a very specific way. You had to kill the bosses of the Trials of Valor in a very specific way to earn the achievement, the title, and the transmog. While the title is not making a return, the transmog itself is, so you'll be able to earn a very special variation of these proper Valajar Viking looking sets, one for every single armor type. Another expansion removed reward that's making a return is actually going to be Tyler Gronden. This was a reward for Brawlers Guild during Legion. Brawlers Guild was essentially like a series of boss fights that you could do and build up your reputation and earn a variety of different mounts and cosmetic rewards and pets, for instance. And during Legion, this was one of those rewards during Brawlers Guild. Brawlers Guild hasn't really seen an update in a very long time, but the reward from it is going to be something that you'll be able to purchase pretty easily with just a bit of bronze. I was also trying to ruminate whether I want to add this section into the video or not, but technically speaking, there are some new mounts for you to collect in Legion Remix as well, though the viability of them being new, quote unquote, they're more like recolors of existing mounts that you'll now be able to obtain in Remix specifically. So I guess they are new because we haven't been able to ride a lot of these, but they're mostly going to be recolors. Like, for example, you got the Illidar Dreadstalker, there's the darker version as well as the green version, which are just a recolor of the pre-order variation. There's the Reigns of the Highland Elderhorn. There's also the Eagles that you could finally ride. Previously weren't really rideable Eagles for High Mountain, but you know, we've had Eagle mounts in the past since then. The Fellbat, which we've had a variety of different variation, especially if you're someone who's into PvP. If you've gotten Gladiator and War Within, you've already got a couple of Fellbats, but they got a couple of variations here. And then there's also the Corsair mounts, which are actually a stripped version of the PvP Corsair mounts, just without armor this time around. So normally these all armored up with PvP gear, but they got a stripped version, so you don't need the armor if that's what you don't want to do. We've had a couple of Basilisks in previous expansions, but they got a couple of variations of them. And then you got a couple of mounts that can be obtained through achievements, as well as other vendors and other rewards. But yeah, they're gonna be kind of mixed together with some of these other mounts in here. Variations of the Headless Horseman mount as well are on this list. So they are unique looking, but they're not necessarily new, since the original basically looks the same. So some of these mounts are new, quote unquote, like the green version of the Reigns of Ghastly Urzul was not available back in Legion, but it is essentially just a recolor of the original Unshackled Urzul. So it is new in a way because it's a new model or new mount specifically. It's like a separate thing you can unlock, but it's not necessarily new because it's just a variation of what we had previously, which is why I was having a hard time whether I want to add this in the video or not. So you may see this segment in the video, maybe not. I'll really figure it out during editing. Now, of course, the returning rewards are going to be pretty exciting if you haven't obtained those before. However, if you're someone who, whether you played Legion or didn't, there's also going to be a bunch of brand new rewards for you to be able to obtain. A lot of the repeating rewards for Legion, and there's a good chance that I mentioned this already, but a lot of them are going to be things that you can technically unlock right now. It just takes a little bit of luck and a little bit of grinding for you to be able to obtain. Xavier's Shoulders, Tishalak, the Scythe of the Unmaker, raid sets, technical, all those can be obtained right now. Legion Remix is just making it easier to obtain some of those currently available on Live Realms rewards through bronze, which makes it that much easier for you to be able to purchase all of these items. However, certain rewards that are unique to Legion Remix cannot be bought by bronze, and instead you'll be able to unlock them through completing a series of achievements for completionist content more than anything. A lot of those achievements are going to be locked to the actual zones of Legion, starting with the 5 original zones that you're leveling through, Stormar being like the max level zone, and adding other zones like Broken Shore and Argus later as we get more phases unlocked throughout Legion Remix. And completing 2 out of the 4 achievements, either doing some LFG content like dungeons and raids in the zone, completing like the reputation achievements, doing the main storylines, and exploring the open world, collecting treasures, slaying rares, all of those things help to contribute for you to be able to unlock that zone-wide achievement, which comes with some zone-wide specific rewards. So for example, if you're completing the zone of Asuna, once you complete it with the zone-wide completion, you'll get yourself a Warden's Companion, an owl pet that has this whole warden look, kind of like Maiev and the Wardens that guard the demons down below the surface. For completing the zone of Val'sharah, you'll be able to unlock an exclusive Legion enchant of Fell Shatter, which looks absolutely amazing. It walks a little wonky with some weapons, but with like a very base board sword, it has this portal opening from like where the bell would be, I guess, kind of near the handle of the weapon, and the weapon itself is just coursing with fell energies, and it looks absolutely sick. So this will be something that you'll be able to unlock for doing the Val'sharah zone completion. Completing High Mountain unlocks you the Dusktooth Fell Snooter. So it's essentially a fell-infused capybara type of a pet, which definitely looks unique. I'm not the biggest fan of pets, but it is definitely a unique reward for completing the zone. For completing Stormheim, you'll actually be able to unlock a set of armaments of the Sinister Fell Blades. Well, you can either get the sword version, but then there's also other couple of different armored weapon types. There's a dagger, a staff, a one-handed sword, and a wand that has this destroyed, like torn apart Legion appearance to the weapon, and that is something you get from the Stormheim area. Suramar, as you can see by the transmog that I'm wearing right now, is the Highborn, or rather the Keldarai Queen's Royal Vestments. It looks absolutely amazing as far as transmog are concerned. I'm a big fan of it. This one I actually thought would take a long while because Suramar as a zone was quite grindy back in Legion, but it actually turns out you can actually get it fairly quickly. Trying to do the main storyline though takes a while, but you'll get exalted way before that, and then you also can add in doing raids or potentially exploration of the zone. So this armor set is actually going to be something that will be really easy to unlock, and it looks absolutely fantastic on Night Elves in particular. Later, as we get into the phases of the Legion Remix experience, we'll unlock this little island here of Broken Shore, which is part of the Legion opening sequence where you initially invade as Horde Lines to Broken Shore and get absolutely decimated by the return of the Burning Legion. So later down the line, in later phases, we'll get to strike back at the Burning Shore, or the Broken Shore, and we'll get a new raid and a new dungeon with that whole area. And for completing that entire zone, you'll be able to unlock the Fallen King's Corrupted Blades, which is Charlemagne, but you'll be able to unlock variations of it. Charlemagne by itself is a two-handed sword of two blades put together, and that is something you'll be able to unlock for any warriors, death knights, paladins to wield. It looks absolutely amazing. However, just like Varian in that Legion trailer or Legion cinematic can break apart Charlemagne into two blades, we have the Felscore version of the Elamain, which is like the bottom version, and then Shalator, which is the top end version. So if you're a Fury Warrior and you really want to embrace like a Fel Varian look, you'll be able to wield both weapons, one in each hand, or combine them together for a two-handed version instead. Later in Legion, we'll be going to the zone of Argus, which has Eridath, Crokun, and Antoran Waste, with plenty of objectives and open world content, as well as storylines for you to complete. Once we travel there, for completing that area, you'll be able to unlock the Bulwark of Manaroth, which is going to be Manaroth's shield. It does look quite interesting and unique as far as shields go, and it does have this like kind of a broadness to it. I wish it was like a lot more massive, kind of like that Bulwark of Azeroth from Black Temple, but at the very least, this is definitely one of those unique shields that I'm pretty sure Manaros wears as like a chest covering or like front covering. So it's going to be definitely something. So still a unique item that you could still add to your collections. However, Argus is going to hold two rewards for you to obtain. One being the Bulwark of Manaroth, the other being the Felscorn Scythe of the Unmaker, which is the Fel-infused Scythe of Argus. It looks absolutely amazing, as the original Scythe is literally one of the best weapons they've made for Legion, and compared to some of the other expansions out there, definitely very iconic to that expansion completely. But the Felscorn version you'll be able to obtain by defeating Antaurus the entire raid on Mythic difficulty, which essentially for someone who raids should be your goal as to completing every single raid on Mythic, especially Argus towards the tail end, which I imagine will be much easier as we get more infinite power for our weapons and we get way better gear, as some players in PTR even started pushing like plus 40 Mythic plus Keystone dungeons, which are way beyond what's expected of players. Plus 25 is like the highest expectation that anybody's seen so far. So players within the short time on PTR have been able to really power up their characters and push beyond their limits. So I imagine everybody else will be able to do so towards the tail end of Legion, making this item a little bit easier to obtain. So even if you're someone who does a Mythic raid, Legion Remix Mythic raiding may end up being like very similar to like Heroic raiding or even normal raiding with just enough power. Plus, I wouldn't be surprised if there will be a lot of carry groups like there were back in MOP Remix, where players would just carry others for all those cool and unique rewards just because they could. However, when it comes to unique rewards, we're not done there. If you're a big fan of mounts, then you'll be happy to know that they have a fel version of every single class mount available in Legion Remix. From the Paladin, the Warrior, the Hunter, dog thing, which I never really got back in the day, the fel version of the Vile Blue Brood Vanquisher, which, I mean, it kind of looks very similar to the Unholy variation of that dragon. Then there's a fel Raven for the Rogues, an Elemental for the Shamans, a Tiger mount for the Monks. The Druids, however, do get a flight form instead of a mount. So you'll be able to earn a fel-infused Scornwing flight form, so like a massive owl. That even comes with like a passenger mount thing, so you could have somebody ride on your back as you fly them around, so that's really unique. Demon Hunters get the fel Bat. You got the Felscorn Seeker's Whistle with the Owl for the Priests. You got the Disc for the Mages, as well as another fel Undead Horse for the Warlocks. And the last set of Transmog you can collect that is a new addition for Legion Remix is going to be the Sargerai Commander's Felscorn Regalia. However, the Regalia comes in 4 flavors. The green flavor is going to be the most basic one that you'll be able to obtain simply by completing the entirety of the Legion Remix campaign, which essentially has you coming back to Eternus every so often, reaching max level, and then completing all of the research tasks until you completed enough in order to be able to unlock this full set of armor, which looks amazing, especially the cloak that has flames dripping off of it as well. The entire ensemble looks insane. There's also going to be a purple or the void version of this armor set for completing 100 world quests while the heroic world tier is active. So if you're a fan of the heroic world tier and more challenging, difficult open world content, then you're probably going to be getting the void one very quickly early on. There's also a light variation of this that has this more of a holy ensemble where you gotta complete all Legion raids on Mythic difficulty, and then there's also a Hellfire Red version where you need to complete any plus 25 Keystone dungeon. But like I said before, even though that sounds that's scary, you know, plus 25, when on live the max, most people do like a 10 or maybe a 15 if that's the highest they go to. I don't think anybody's done plus 20 yet this season, though I'm sure in a few weeks I'll be corrected by that. But either way, 25 sounds scary, but with the gear scaling and the weapon scaling that we have in Legion Remix, it is going to be much easier than it sounds, since some players are already able to dive in plus 40s even as of this moment with the limited time that we've had with it over on the PTR. But with that being said, as always, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give the video a like, as I would very much appreciate it. Also, be sure to join our Discord community, especially if you want to keep up future content updates, like more updates regarding Legion Remix, but also potentially Midnight Alpha. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in our next one.